history, because Georgia had many powerful women in its history, but it's also very important in today's world. There are not that many women leaders in the world, and for Georgia to have one woman leader is something that will bring Georgia more prominently into the world scene.
Well, in terms of the world scene, you said today with your victory that your victory is Georgia sort of voting for Europe in a way. So what does that mean in practice? Will you be actively seeking membership in the EU, for example?
Yes, certainly. As you know, I have my European origins, education, and I've been for a long time a French and European diplomat. I think that not only I think, Georgia thinks, the Georgian society is very united about its European future. It's something that has been inscribed in the Constitution. I took part as a parliamentary in the modification of the Constitution, and we have this objective of Georgia inscribed into the Constitution. And now, as a president who has a number of representation powers inscribed also in the Constitution, and given my experience and past and contacts, I intend to be very actively one of the advocates of Georgia moving closer and into the European Union. We have already the association agreement, we have already the visa liberalization, so it's something that is becoming very concrete for the Georgian population. But this election was a declaration by the Georgian population that it wants to move faster, closer to the European Union, and they saw me at their best chance to do that, and I intend to deliver.
Well, you're coming into this presidency already with a crisis right next door between Russia and Ukraine. Russia is still holding 3 Ukrainian ships and their crew. How are you viewing this crisis now, and how do you think it should be handled?
I think that the crisis today in Ukraine is something that is very sensitive for Georgia. We have 2 occupied territories. We have an occupying line that is a very sensitive line because people are abducted every other day on that line because the line is moving constantly, and that is something that is a very big everyday and concrete threat to Georgian stability. So we understand very well what's happening for Ukraine. We are expressing our solidarity with Ukraine. Black Sea stability is something that is very important for Georgia, and we are working already on that with NATO, which is our very important security partner, and integration to NATO is also a very important and direct aim of Georgia, also inscribed in the Constitution. And in the Black Sea, we need more stability and not less. And that has to be done with our partners, both European and Americans.
Would you like to see Russia held accountable in this case, in this crisis? To see Russia held accountable?
Yes, Russia has to be held accountable for what is happening in Georgia, for what is happening in Ukraine. Russia has to understand that to be a part of the international community means responsibility for stability and stop behaving like the old Soviet imperialist power. That's something that our partners have to convince Russia of, because we cannot, as neighbors, we cannot continue to live under the constant threat of instability that Russia is projecting today on its neighbors. That's not how we construct a safe world.
So I want to broaden the conversation to right where we are here in Israel. Israel and Georgia had to significantly scale back their ties in the wake of the 2008 crisis. Israel's defense industry in Georgia was rolled back specifically. How do you envision that relationship now during your presidency between Georgia and Israel?
Well, Israel, as you know, is one of the oldest partners of Georgia. We have very close and very friendly relations, and we have been supported by Israel at all times. We also have a very old relationship with the Jews that were living in Georgia, and the Georgian Jews are also a link with Israel. And as you mentioned, we have similar problems of a country that has to defend its independence that has a country that is projecting power on our territory, and we have to be fighting, and that has been the constant history of Georgia, to be fighting its neighbors and to try to preserve its independence. So we have that in common. We know that we have to make the best for our defense. We will need strong partners for increasing our defense capabilities, both in the air and on sea. And what the Ukraine crisis is showing is that Georgia needs more sea capabilities, and I'm sure that these are issues that we can tomorrow discuss with our Israeli partners as well as with our NATO partners and our European partners.
In the framework,
it has to be a building of support.
Well, in the framework of that relationship and that support, can you envision potentially following the footsteps of the United States, for example, an embassy move to Jerusalem?
I hear you very badly.
I'm asking
if you can repeat the question.
Sure. If you can envision following in the footsteps of the United States, for example, an embassy move, Georgia's embassy moving to Jerusalem.
Well, that is a question that certainly does not belong to the president. It's a decision that would have to be made by the government itself. I mean, in today's constitutional arrangement that has been the result of the new changes in the constitution, the president is not taking actually executive decisions, so it's something that probably we can discuss together, but the decision will be taken first and foremost by the government if it has to be taken.
All right, President-elect Salome Zurabishvili, a pleasure to have you with us. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much.